Never cook with your hair down. That's another reason not to cook with your hair down, because I leaned down to get this and almost caught my hair on fire. Let me step out of the kitchen and do this, because before I flip hair right in the potatoes. I should have put it up in my puff cuff, but that's not what I have down here. Fuck it, I'm ripping all black everything. I'll be back. I'm finna go grab my puff cuff. I did too much. And I ate a piece of candy that I shouldn't have. I have taken in so many unnecessary calories this weekend. It is not cute. I keep my used plastic bags in a vase. I'm bougie, but I'm still hood. I reuse the plastic bags. And there are some that I can actually turn inside out and use them on top of the core as a layer for a cutting board. But I just learned something else too, by the way. I hope I remember it, because I want to finish this thought before I get to that. But anyway, plastic bags. So there's some that haven't been tampered with that I could probably turn inside out and use it to line a cutting area. Or there are some that I double up and I actually hook onto my cabinet under the sink. Why don't I do it? I got some stuff to go in that hole. But this is a plastic bag. I usually double them up because they very often have holes like so in them. But I'm not going to double it up because I'm going to make this video simple. So I just hook it onto the cabinet here, and then I use that for an active garbage bag while I'm cooking and whatnot for things. And it's usually a bag that goes in a bag because I'm controlling a smell at this point. Like this is leftover and in onion pieces and other parchment paper that I use in lieu of a cutting board. That's the other thing I was going to tell you. Ooh, so much ancestral guidance right now. So yeah, as you know, I sometimes use bags, and if I don't have bags, I use some other type of layer when I'm cutting things. Can I not? Not COVID. So anyway, what I did just now was I accidentally discovered that parchment paper is also a great liner just for chopping vegetables, because in my own defense, I did use, you've seen me do it too, I have lined the counter with parchment paper to separate fresh bought grocery meat. That's not a problem. But what I'm highlighting here is its durability for cutting things like vegetables and using it as a surface for a cutting board. It sounds like I'm saying it's cut proof, but what I'm saying is that it's cut resistant. It is, especially if you're not cutting something hard and aggressively. It is cut resistant. So not only have I discovered that my parchment paper can be used to line my counter for separating raw meats, it can also be used to cut light things like vegetables and whatnot. And so, you know that moisture doesn't go through to the other side. I mean, it does, but it doesn't go through to the other side because your parchment paper absorbs it. But also, its resistance to cutting. I do want to show you the cuts that are in here. And they didn't happen until I was almost finished with my vegetable cutting job, mind you. So this parchment paper really remained, I didn't go to town, right? But I was slicing vegetables, onions and whatnot. Something that's not hard to slice, but something that you need to slice quite a bit of to incorporate into your meal. Anyway, so I've discovered that amongst all the other shit that parchment paper is good for, It's also good as a cutting board substitute. Laid across the top of whatever you want to lay it across. As long as you don't mind it eventually getting sliced into a little bit. Because like I said, towards the end of the whole cutting job, I pulled those apart because I wanted to see how big the cut was. But like it was cut like this. This is exactly what the cuts look like. Can you see it? Maybe from the other side. See, you can't even see it. I'm having trouble showing this shit to you. Here. Flip it back over. I can see through it because it's a slit here. Oh, here. It's right there. Anyway, that part cut through. And even then, it skipped a piece, like it perforated instead of cut. But that's what the slices look like. I actually pulled these two open. So it suffered 4 slices that didn't even come open until I pulled them open. So yeah, shout out to parchment paper. The ancestors are like, y'all don't listen to me, because I'm sitting here like, why didn't we know so much basic shit? Like, why didn't we know? Some people did, because that's how they made their bacon. But I was good and grown before I realized. And I didn't even take heed to, I thought other people were ridiculous, even when I saw someone do it. And even when it turned out good. That's how brainwashed I was. Like, that's just not how you make bacon. You stand over the stove and torture yourself with blazing oil droplets, frying these long slivers of bacon that you can't all fit in the same pan at the same time, so you have to do several rounds of standing in front of that popping hot oil. You know, you ever heard the saying, never fry bacon naked? There's a reason for that. It should be popping up and capping you. And I'm just sitting in awe of womanhood right now. Black womanhood that stood over the stove frying bacon all those years and didn't put an eye out. I know some people put an eye out, I'm sure. But there's so many women that fried so much bacon over the course of their lives for their families and didn't put an eye out. Houseway. Shout out to y'all. But anyway, the second I figured it out, and again, I didn't even get it from anyone in particular, even though I'm sure I probably saw someone do it. I just decided one day, well, let me just put this bacon in the oven and see what happens. And it turned out great. But even after that first time I did it and it turned out great, I still didn't do it from that time on. I still stood over a pan sometimes and torture myself. Because you colonized to do so. The human brain sometimes. But I still got one of the pick of the litters when it comes to brain and function and using your own cognitive thinking. So shout out to Goddess. She my girl for real, for real. She my rider live. Cause ain't no dying with her. She goes on for eternity. I wonder what it's gonna be like in the eternity. Like when we shed our human flesh, do we also shed all that sociopath-ass, selfish-ass conditioning that was instilled in us by colonizers? Or is there still a little bit of pettiness going on? Nothing like when you're a human, of course, but do people feel like they're the favorites over somebody? And if nobody does feel like that, do they just accept it and are happy with it? Or are they not only happy with it, they reinforce, oh, well, yeah, that person did a better job than me, so they kind of deserve that spot. You know, are they grown and can acknowledge shit like that? So they don't have they can't conceive an idea of what being envious of somebody would be. Because, like, that doesn't even make sense to somebody. That only makes sense to somebody who is in human, petty-ass human flesh. you know. I wonder what the relations between energies will be like in the afterlife, in the eternity, in the eternity. Are we going to still have that same peak level of love? Or are we just going to remember each other like, oh yeah, you was my whole ass mother in earth life. You were my mother, and who knew? Look at us now. Who knew I was 700 years older than you? Oh, that human experience, it was something. So I wonder how the energies are going to, the relations between energies are going to be in the eternity. But I'm in a hurry to find out. God, it's just so you know, I'm not sending out any energies of urgency to see what the afterlife has to offer. I think I have a little bit more living to do. Hopefully I can contribute to some lives who are going to be able to contribute to a lot more lives than I can or will. So we've already established that my energy is for a special minority. But what makes me valuable is the minority that I reach. They are going to reach so many more others. It's like I'm the celebrity stylist. Like I'm famous for the style of the celebrities who you love for their style, which is different from the designer. Because stylist actually active hands-on participation is required for the initiation, for you to pioneer something that has your personal style on it. Ugh, I'm doing it wrong. Oh, I need to put the fucking, unless you're a veteran, don't ever do the things high that you see me doing high. Ever. Because I'm not going to feel responsible for that. You're not going to sit up here and guilt me behind that when I told you don't listen to me. I be getting some amazing shit done high though. I'm just saying. That's me. That's just me. Me. I don't recommend it. So don't do as I do, nor as I say I do. Unless you've done your due diligence and experimentation and you know that what you heard is something that you deem that you are able to trust 100%. Always do your due diligence, common sense, and your own control testing when possible. I just eat them now because I know they still have a lot of health benefits, but they don't do anything. They're not activated. I don't know how I failed in doing that. Maybe I did probably properly decarb the flour because I'm apparently not good at that type of thing. Like I've made amazing butter before, but I did that without decarbing anything. I don't know. I don't understand when they be like, you gotta decarb for like butter to make butter. I didn't get that. I never understood that. I never had to do that shit. My butter was a death fighter. I watched my butter get in some edibles and fight death off. And it was psychoactive. But these were a stone cold fail. That's why I'm eating 2 of them. They don't taste like much. I tried to make them lime flavor. So I used green Jello mix. And I withheld something to make them harder. I don't think it was water. Maybe it was water. Because I withheld one of the ingredients. Or I put less of it in to make them harder. Because I don't want them sticking to each other. And I don't want to have to wrap them individually. I want them to do like they do. so that I could put them in a package, like a candy package, and they wouldn't stick to each other. See how they're shiny? But they're not sticky. Like hard candy, but still gummies. That's what I was going for. It doesn't matter, because like I said, they're not psychoactive. I bet you said I can't tell. So this is how I got uninterested in edibles, per se. It's simple, really. I used to be fascinated. In fact, like I said, I had a recipe that was killer's killer. And so it got me fascinated with the whole edibles and infusing foods. And like, I used to watch all of the pre-pandemic episodes of Bon Appetit from Vice. And I was thinking, these people are sticking this in foods, and then they're getting the wrong dose for themselves, when you could either smoke or get your concentrate and get what the fuck dose you need. And then you could still eat whatever the fuck you want to eat, gourmet or fast food. And that'll be like it was in your food, right? Except you got whatever dose you wanted to get. I don't have to have the anxiety of wondering, did I eat too much? Get your little concentrate, eat whatever you wanted to eat, call yourself infusing into it. Just make your recipes as per usual and use your concentrate. It's still gonna hit you in a couple of hours, as an edible would. Why I need all this candy with these extra calories and shit? Why do I need a whole ass meal infused? Well, I'm interested in the effects of the cannabis, really. At the end of the day, when you reduce it all down, the meat of the sauce is simply in the cannabis. So you don't have to deal with the uncertainty of dosage with your edibles. Dose yourself like you need to be dosed, and eat what the fuck you want to eat. So the extreme logic in that analysis led me to be disinterested in. So I went from one extreme to another. I was suckered into being fascinated by the concept of edibles, to being like exposed to RSO, and then thinking, however, the normal process of incorporating your butter and oils into the foods, I was like, I wonder if there's a way that I can incorporate this RSO into foods, and then that'd be the edible. And of course I'm sure you can, but I don't know how successfully you could even out each dosage to be the exact same amount, but I'm sure you could. Like, in simplicity of the obviousness that you could, made me think, well, I bet you could infuse it into anything. But since you can infuse it into anything, why infuse it into anything? Just take it as you normally would. You know exactly your dose. And then you can eat whatever you want to eat. Make believe it was infused. After thinking more on it, I was like, it's so ridiculous of me to be so fascinated by edibles, unless you're just fascinated by cooking and food in general. You go and pay somebody to make you a $200-300 infused meal. Just gonna get you high for that one time. But I'm gonna take that money and get me some cannabis. It's gonna last me for quite a while. Because if you think about it, you're going to a cannabis dinner party and you're gonna be high that night off of what they cook for you, and that's it. Unless do they be sending people home with gift bags full of cannabis when they pay to go to infused dinners? Cause I tried to imagine myself paying to go to an infused dinner. If somebody sent me, I'm there. So if you saw me at an infused dinner, I was repping on a professional level. Because man, Hard to chew. Both of them, I still got both of them. Both of them. Hardest gummies ever. That's what I meant to do, but maybe not this hard.